Good morning, everyone. In this section, we will provide you the details of accounts, how accounts are being managed in 101 society. In the configuration, which is account configuration, you define the current financial year. If you want to do a previous year entry, you have to go and activate that financial year. For current year, you just say save. If I go to the account head, this is the section where you can define your own custom heads. Custom heads cannot be defined under a standard category like fixed assets. If I want to add a here, you can just say whatever is the custom head. Say fixed asset, I can just say some other table chairs. So table chairs are already there. Say computers. Okay. So that's how we are defining a custom head. Being an independent society, that can always be defined. Repair and maintenance. So just like this, we have all the asset and liability which are currently defined. You can always rename a head which is custom defined but not a system defined. So if it is a system defined, you cannot rename that. Neither you can delete them. Okay. If I just say okay, it says system defined account header cannot be deleted. The second page is the balance summary. So here we actually defined the opening balance of the societies for the financial year, and the current debit and credit is being coming to the next column. So you can see against each and every head what is the current closing balance or CR or DR as of today. The next part is the first thing which we have to define is the bank. So if you have a bank, the first thing we have to define the bank and whether it is the default payment bank. This indicates all the maintenance which is supposed to be deposited in this bank. This is related with this particular payment. So if I say that a person is making a payment in this particular, say E301 flat has made a payment, right? So this should go to which bank is decided by this option. So if it says default bank is SBI, if I change this to ICICI Bank, all the future payments by default will be going to ICICI Bank. So that's the one which is very important. The next part is the balance sheet. You can get your balance sheet immediately at any point of time. Any transaction will update immediately. Your profit and loss statement or income and expenditure statement is visible here. There is a trial balance which shows what are the current status. Accordingly, you can get one monthly finance report of the society as if what is the expense and income for a particular month. So coming to the further to the details, the ledgers, right? For any financial year, you can get the ledger. If I say sundry debtor, suppose the flat, so it has just the opening balance. This opening balance we have defined in the opening balance section. And when I'm looking for the other flat with a ledger, if I just say for 301, where we created the maintenance under multiple heads. So they all accumulate and the maintenance are coming here. These maintenance, we are saying sinking fund, repair and maintenance fund. These two sections, they comes in the balance sheet. If you look into the balance sheet, there you don't have to actually transfer them. It is there in the balance sheet. And other heads of the maintenance, they comes under profit and loss account. Discount is an expenditure, right? And that's how you have the entire ledger of any specific flat or any head is available. You have the bank by default, it has here the discounts and penalty. You have an option to download the Excel for the current. That means when I say current, the one head which you have selected, you can download it in the Excel format as well as, so this is the Excel format where you have downloaded, as well as you can download in the PDF format. The society or the admin has an option to download either the entire financial year, that means for all the ledgers it is downloaded in the Excel or even in the PDF format, right? So you have all the account heads with charges. Now coming to the next part, which is your journal entry. The person has a option to create, so download all the journal entries. Even he can create a new journal entry here. Accordingly, this will be going to the journal entry. Similarly, you have two options. One is payable invoices. So if as a society we have a new invoice, the person can always create the bill number against which he has received. Say suppose we have received from the security guard. So I can say against security expenses, I have an option to upload the scan copy of the same, and then against which narration security expenses, the line item. So I can say security, say three guys at a rate of 5,000, and then I will just say save. So once the expense has been created, you can pay directly from here by clicking on the rupee icon. By default, it has all the details, and say this was paid on 18th, right? From which bank? So the default bank appears here. So you can select either of them, and then through check and whatever was the date, right? The reference number is nothing but the check number, and then clearing date is say 19. If you want to have a deduction, say cash discount, I can just say 100 rupees, and then TDS deduction, I can say 10%, right? So actually I have paid 13,410 with discount and this one, right? So how my entry has worked here. Once I save that, right? If I just say save, my TDS is supposed to be paid to the government, right? So you can see the amount paid here, right? And what about my journal entry? Because I have this one, if I go to suppose balance sheet, right? So that TDS part has got added here. Okay, if I look into my ledger, right, tax deduction, see, sundry creditor, and then the amount. So this is the amount which we have deducted, but this is my liability. If I go for a discount on advance payment, right, so this is not the discount on advance payment, but it was discount, so other deductions actually, so it was DD. So let us go and check our deduction of cash profit and loss. That was one of our income, so it was a cash discount. So if you go and look for the ledger, it shows cash discount, and this should be here, Turban security cash discount. If I want to look for the sundry creditor of the Turban security, you can see that security expenses and all together it's a 0 1, right? Similarly, if you have a look into this specific part, you can see that the balance is now showing as 0 because the entire amount has been paid. Now, coming to the next part, which is, so even if I'm coming here, right, you don't have an option. If you want something to do the changes, right, we can always do that. You can say that instead of this security, I want this to be under the miscellaneous expenses, right, and I just want to save. So what is going to happen? This head has changed. So now if I go and look for the ledger, right, but anything which is changed here, payable invoice, I think there was a different one, balance, right? Why balance? Because when we have done the changes, those heads, if I go to the payable payments, right, amount paid, so this is the one where it is appearing accordingly, right? And then payable invoice, so it's just trying to show that you can change your invoice amount as well, any details you are looking for. Okay, since this part we have the TDS and all those stuff, so it was showing as a partial paid. If I would have considered the ledger, if you look for the ledger, you have as sundry debtor, then sundry creditor, then you have say turban security, then still the ledger shows the same thing. Okay, coming to the next part, which is the receivable invoice. The society has a option to create a template. When I say template, if I say water charges, right, so if I say that there is a 200 rupees charge, right, this I can save as a template. So what is going to happen whenever I need to create a new invoice, I can just say that use this template, say water misuse charges, and you will see that all of them has appeared immediately. So you don't have to create a new invoice. If you want to go for multiple flats, you can always say that, and you can just say water misuse, right? And once you say that water misuse, and I will just say create invoice. So when I say create invoice, you can see that multiple invoices are immediately created against all the owners, whoever are there. Accordingly, if you see the ledger of any one of the flat, okay, like say this one E301. Now since there is a new addition of water fine, it has got added here under the head wastewater charge. So if I just say wastewater charge, so I can see that also the entire charges which has been raised against the flat. If you look into the profit and loss account statement, you can see the waste water charges is the total charge against all the flat, and accordingly my balance sheet is updated. If I receive anyone's payment, we can always go and create a new receipt here, or we can go to receivable invoice, go, and I will just say pay. So once you say pay, all those details are auto populated. You can always say it is paid to the bank with a specific date, and maybe you can put date today and then reference number and then the paid date with the amount. So I say 450. Even you can pay a partial, say 200. Even if somebody has paid extra in the maintenance, that can also be adjusted here. Okay, and once I say generate maintenance receipt, so this get generated. So that's how, and you can see the balance amount is now 0. And if I go to my receipts, we should be in a position to see the receipt. Okay, you can always have a contra entry, that means transfer from bank to cash or cash to bank. At the same time, you can look for bank register like SBI. So you can always have only the bank register which can be downloaded, and you can always update the check clearing date if you want to go by specific payments, right? You can always do that. So you can always say instead of 19, my clearing date was 21st. So that can be saved. If I look for maintenance receipt, so that can also be checked, and these dates can also be updated. So that's the overview of the entire accounting section. Thank you.